It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, today is a Monday. We are starting out a new week, and as usual, I am making it a Metal Monday. And today, we are listening to music from the American instrumental progressive metal supergroup known as Liquid Tension Experiment. I have heard an album from these guys. I've heard a few of their songs, and I'm always happy to get back to music from this group. Previously, here on YouTube, we've heard their cover of Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin. That was all the way back in episode 121 from their third album. In episode 595, we heard Key to the Imagination. That's also from LTE3. In episode 613, we heard When the Water Breaks. That's from LTE2, their second album. And that second album is one that I have heard over on Patreon. I've done a reaction and analysis video to that entire album. It's Extended Play Lounge episode 88 over on Patreon, if you are interested in that. So, speaking of Patreon, y'all, a few weeks ago, I was on a Zoom call with members of our top tiers over on Patreon, our Council of Doug's members and our Doug's Angels members. So on these Doug On Demand Zooms, we listen to a bunch of our favorite music, and we spin this randomizer wheel that selects one of the people that have put in a suggestion, and then when it picks them, we listen to their suggestion right then and there. That's why we call it Doug On Demand. It's that simple. And a few weeks ago, I heard this song from Liquid Tension Experiment. It's called Freedom of Speech, and I remember really liking it. I think I've liked everything that these guys have done, but I remember really liking it and thinking that I wanted to take another shot at it and really focus on it, because when I'm doing these Doug On Demands, they last a couple of hours, and I'm doing reactions, but I'm not really diving into the granular stuff like I normally do here on YouTube. So this gives me another opportunity not only to hear these guys play and to hear this song, but to see if I can figure out what really is going on with this music. And with this week being America's birthday week, it seems fitting to include a song called Freedom of Speech, although the song is an instrumental, so they can call it whatever they want. But they've called it Freedom of Speech, and I remember really liking it. I don't remember a ton about what it sounds like, and so let's listen to it, friends. We're here, let's do it. So when I did hear it, it was the studio version, which is great, but I know that the band has a great DVD of their concert in Los Angeles from their 2008 tour that they have released to the world. When I watched and reacted to their song When the Water Breaks, we saw footage from that particular concert. So I'm going back to that concert, y'all, once I figured out that they played this song, Freedom of Speech, in that concert, and it appears on the DVD. So that's the version that I'm going to listen to. So technically, I haven't heard this version yet, but I have heard the song before, and I remember it starting out relatively easy, and then it just gets going and going and going and going. And, you know, it's John Petrucci on guitar, it's Jordan Rudess on keyboards, it's Tony Levin, this time on the Chapman stick, and Mike Portnoy on the bass. Four unbelievable musicians on their own instruments and in their own space. And when you get these guys together, magic happens, y'all. So let's figure this one out and have some fun here on this Metal Monday. It's Freedom of Speech from Liquid Tension Experiment. Here we go. There's Jordan. I've seen Jordan playing a few times now, and his rig is so cool. It moves like this, so it allows him to move with his instrument. Pretty cool. Major key. up to the 3 in the bass. 2, 4, 5, 6. As everybody starts getting in. Now they're in the relative minor. B minor. Nice. Woo! Back where they came from. A major one over its third to G, the 4 chord, 2, 5, or maybe just the 2 chord. Back to the B minor. Whoa! That's Neapolitan in B. Yeah, look at him just kind of move with the keyboard. A lot of piano players don't get that freedom of movement because the instrument is so unmovable, right? His. Are they staying? On F sharp, Mike Portnoy on the drums. If they've been in B, I hear this is a dominant prolongation. But the longer they hold it out, the more it feels like it's its own key, right? Flams on the snare. And that Chapman stick is so freaking cool. I wish it was turned up a little bit in the mix. Love being able to see them playing their instruments. Finally resolves to B. Bum, bum. So the F sharp goes to B, A to B. Yeah, right? The F sharp goes to B. And it's kind of a Phrygian dominant scale that they're using on F sharp, which keeps B the tonic. 5, 1 in B minor. There's the 6. There's the 4, 6. Cool. $11? Yeah. They're unbelievable, aren't they? That clanky ride giving us some fun. You know John means business when he puts his left foot up on the monitor and just starts going to town. They get back into the original key. Major. How about that? Fun. Lovely tune. The songwriting is so good, friends. It's so wonderful. How great is that? You know, I've commented in the past when I've heard LTE and things that we don't remember. You know, Jordan's been a member of Dream Theater for so long that we forget that when he was invited to play with LTE, he was not yet in Dream Theater. But he got along musically so well with Mike and John, it was just inevitable. And they did this first album that has this song on it. I think it was 1997 that it came out. And this particular performance is from 2008, after they had done their second album, LTE2. They've now gone on to do a third album. That was back in 2021. That's the one that has the Gershwin cover on it. And that's when I first learned about this group, was from LTE3. So it's been a little bit of a journey for me, but every time I hear these guys play, one of the things that sticks in my brain is how these guys who are instrumentalists to the core, how they are able to be a little bit more free in their songwriting and in their performing when they don't have to make room for lyrics. As a composer myself, as a composer who has specialized in writing texted music, writing songs, writing choral pieces, and that sort of thing, I always start with the words. The words always are the beginning part for me. I don't know if I've ever tried or been successful at writing music and then fitting words to it. For me, it's always been, what do the words say? What are the rhythm of the words? What are the natural rise and fall when you orate it? Where are the high points? Where are the low points? What's the natural rhythm? Where are the natural stress points? In the poetry, that stuff tells me where the downbeats are. It tells me what the contours of the melodies should be. It tells me, in some cases, what the keys should be. And then the music gets crafted to fit, at least from my perspective, what the lyrics are there trying to communicate. And I try to marry them up. The more that I've talked with people who are musicians in this space, the more I've come to realize that the words for most of these folks come last. They're worried about the riffs. They're bringing forth their sections, their pieces, their little ideas, their musical ideas, and not necessarily their lyrical ideas first. They might have an idea of what they want to say, but they wait until the music is pretty much set, and then they figure out how to put the melodies in and fit in the lyrics. And one of the things that I've complained about, one of the few things that I've complained about when I hear Dream Theater, whom three of these guys play for, right, is that sometimes when they get to the vocal stuff, it seems like the vocal stuff is less gripping, less melodically gripping than the stuff that they're coming up with for their instrumental melodies and their riffs and their motifs and all that stuff that way. And it's like it's an afterthought, right? Well, here in this arrangement of players, they're saying, you know what, we don't need to do texted music. We're just going to play our instruments. And they have this idea. In this particular song, they're in D major, and it's a pretty straightforward little progression, diatonic progression. They move it to B minor, and they have a secondary progression there. They have a section on F sharp, which prolongs and moves to B, and you get a couple little sections, and you can solo over the top of them, and you get a piece. How about that? And on the album, it's the longest track on LTE1. So it gives them plenty of fodder for putting together these pieces, these musical ideas, and they don't have to worry about, okay, now that we have everything written, how are we going to fit in the lyrics, and when, and where's the chorus, or what's a verse and what's not. They don't have to worry about all of that. And I actually think that hearing these particular musicians play in a style like this is like hearing them in their sandbox, in their happy place that is just them. I mean, John Petrucci doesn't have to worry about what lyrics are going to be happening. He just has to worry about where he's at and what the solo is going to sound like. Jordan's doing similar stuff. Mike's doing similar stuff. Tony's playing that Chapman stick and bringing in all of that beautiful, not only undergirding bass, but he's playing melodic ideas with a great tone from that Chapman stick, and everything just works together. I really enjoy listening to this group. I really, really do, and it's just rewarding to be able to watch them too. Hearing the studio album is one thing, but being able to watch them and watch them play off of the other folks. A little glance here, a little glance there. Are we on the same page yet? We're going here now, and it's just a great thing, to be able to witness that. So I'm thankful for these live recordings that are available that we can look at. But my goodness, friends, it's just great music. Liquid Tension Experiment. When they call this a super group, they ain't lying, y'all. They are not lying. It's progressive, but it's also metal, but it's also genuine. You know, it's delicate of this particular song. So it's got a little bit of everything, and that's just okay for us this week. Freedom of speech. We need a little bit of everything, right? In freedom of speech, you can have your nice little, major key over here. We can have our little minor key over here. We can have our shredding spots over here, and we just have to be tolerant of all of these different areas and lift up freedom of speech. That's what we do in a democracy. Hopefully we'll still have one by the time we get to this time next year. Y'all. But for this week and for this Metal Monday, I've just been really enjoying listening to Liquid Tension Experiment. Again, we've heard Freedom of Speech, a live cut from 2008, but the original is on LTE1, and I think that I need to get to that entire album. They've only got 3. I've listened to the first. Let me say that again. I've listened to the second one, but I still have the first one in all of the first and all of the third to get to, and I think that I will. I think that I will before too long. But it was great to hear this live cut of Freedom of Speech with all of y'all today. So I thank you for being with me, and we will see you next time on another edition of the Daily Doug.